Well, howdy, folks. I'm your host, Prepperines, and tonight we tackle the serious topic of homeland attacks and readiness. So, in the words of the man himself, good old Chesty Puller, they're on our left, they're on our right, they're ahead of us, they're behind us. Looks like we're surrounded. Well, they're not going to get away this time. Bringing home that statement that if you want to FA, you're going to FO. I'm also pretty excited to share with you guys a product that I'm going to be reviewing here in the future. It's a gadget that revolutionizes the good old tourniquet that we all know and love, the cat. This is the X8T. This little guy is a rapid deployment system that turns your tourniquet into Arnold Schwarzenegger on steroids, pretty much. I do think that it is going to completely revolutionize the tourniquet market and take these bad boys into something that we just get rid of and start carrying these. I love them. I have two of them graciously sent to me. I'm going to be doing a review, and we'll see what you guys think. But in the meantime, you guys know the jargon. Let's pop us in, pour up, and let's dig in.
To me like this. He said, most of the world out there is sheep. They're kind, gentle creatures. They can only hurt one another by accident. He says, then there are wolves. The wolves will feed on the sheep. They're the sociopaths. They're the criminals. He says, and then there are sheepdogs. The sheep are a little leery of the sheepdog. He wanders around, checks the perimeter every night, barks at the moon. He would never turn his teeth on the flock, but he yearns for a righteous battle. And when the wolf comes around, nothing else will do, and the entire flock is sitting there trying to hide behind one lonely sheepdog as he faces down the wolves. We're talking about a creature who is capable of confronting and dealing with combat and sustaining themselves across the long haul. The goal becomes to be a sheepdog, to be a warrior, to be the one that is ready to respond to the threats when the time arises.
All right, guys, here we go again. So, gonna try to make this one a quick one. Oh, we want to remove that because that's for later. So, anyways, we have some cities that I want to talk about that I think that are probably going to be high-risk targets. And I've been scouring around and trying to look, through the data that's available to all of us for what cities are going to be at the most risk. It's not an easy list to find. And there's some other YouTube creators out there that supposedly have said that they found it. But after, looking through their cited sources, that's a bunch of BS. There ain't nothing there. So I had to do my own research. I had to do my own deep dive and find out what cities are at the most risk. And here's what I found. So let's get started. All right. So first off, where does the risk come from? Everybody knows it. We got this graph from the border crossings coming from down south. And as you look down below, you're going to see that the single adult charts are going down. So that's good news. But, hell, they're still super high. So single adults are still passing through. And with multiple reports of these military-age males being these single adults, kind of makes me worry. And then we can move on to this report too. I call this one cannonballs. So this is updated November 1st. In September, Border Patrol agents in Texas discovered a backpack with what appeared to be cannonball-sized IEDs. It's not the first time that the U.S. government has found potential explosive devices at the border. Back in May, News Nation reported border officials recovered a rudimentary device created using an M&M's container that was bound with electrical tape. That's almost American ingenuity, but not quite. And in recent news, we also have this going on. So, FBI director, Jordanian national arrested in Houston, accused of studying how to build bombs, as well as being arrested for being in illegal possession of a firearm. Last time I checked, I thought the Jordanians were still our friends, but it looks like we can't trust anybody. What else is new? So now let's get into what you guys all came here for. The 10 or 15 or maybe 20 most dangerous cities in the United States. Now, this wasn't a very easy list to put together, as I had to actually do my own homework. There is no list that you can just go Google online, despite what other people may say. So I had to pair this with a couple different threat matrices. The first off being what real estate agents say. So here we go. Now, this is actually out of Forbes. So if you live in one of these 15 cities, potentially you have trouble coming your way. But this is probably just high crime rates. Now, if you look up per capita high crime rates across the U.S., you're going to find states that are the size of a ballpoint pen, and those per capita rates don't mean anything. But these ones, number one, St. Louis, Missouri, Birmingham, Alabama, Baltimore, Maryland, Memphis, Tennessee, Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, New Orleans, Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. Geez, a lot of Louisiana's going on here. Little Rock, Arkansas, Oakland, California, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Richmond, Virginia. Now that's from our buddies over at Forbes. Let's see what the real estate agents have to say. So these are the most dangerous places to live, according to real estate agents. And a lot of this is ran through their own matrices across their site for how they develop it. But I'm going to read them off to you. If you guys live in any one of these areas, keep your ears out. So Memphis, Tennessee is number one. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Anchorage, Alaska. Bakersfield, California. Little Rock, Arkansas. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Corpus Christi, Texas. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Columbia, South Carolina. Kalamazoo, Michigan. Salt Lake City, Utah. Rockford, Illinois. I can keep going on here, but our next, couple ones are going to be Stockton, California, Greensboro, North Carolina, and finally my favorite, Denver, Colorado. So that's where I'm at. I'm in Colorado. And to know and hear that, we have this open border policy where these people that hate us are coming through with IEDs and plan to do whatever the hell they're planning to do. I mean, we know what they're planning to do. We listened to the FBI director, Ray, and he says that they're planning to take out our national grid and possibly damage our water supply. So that brings into question, where exactly are these nuclear plants located? But in recent news, let's just look at what's been, recent as far as nuclear. Okay, so extremists keep trying to trigger mass blackouts, and that's not even the scariest part. I'm going to read a little bit of this article here, just the beginning. We'll make it quick. Maryland's top utility regulator was watching the news one February morning when a headline blindsided him. Two suspects with neo-Nazi ties had been charged with plotting to take down Baltimore's power grid. Jason Stanek, the then chair of the state's Public Service Commission, said Maryland's regulators were caught flat-footed, as in not ready at all, I guess, not hearing a word from law enforcement before the news broke, or in the months afterward. Federal prosecutors have alleged that the defendants were driven by racially motivated hatred to try to cut power to hundreds of thousands of people in the state's largest city, which has predominantly black population. So, guys, here we're obviously seeing that these extremists are racially motivated, but we're moving out of that phase into, I guess it's still racially motivated, but we're moving into even the more fun stuff of religiously motivated holy war jihad. Days of rage that we all have to deal with. Let's go to another one. So, power grid attacks cause outages for thousands. FBI still doesn't know who did it or why. How the hell does the people in charge, these three-letter agencies, not know, who's in charge of these attacks? And I mean, I thought this was the land of the free, the home of the brave, and the people that were half, educated enough when they're put in charge that they actually are keeping us safe and are good at their jobs. But it would seem that, these are almost being allowed to happen for whatever reason. So, anyways, we're going to read a little bit of this article too. So, months since multiple shooting attacks on power substations in 3 states left thousands of people without electricity, investigators still don't know who targeted the grid or why. Now, the FBI is offering a total of $100,000 in rewards for information about 4 shootings in Washington, Oregon, and North Carolina. Steve Burns, spokesperson for the FBI Seattle's office, said it's the first time his office has offered a reward for related power substation attack. Well, that should tell you guys that these things are on the rise, right? And I think with a couple of documentaries out there that you guys can probably realize that our nuclear power grid and the power grid in general is not the most hardened thing. At least that's what we're led to believe. And with all these attacks going on, it makes one wonder, are we at threat? Are we at a crux of a threat? Or is this something that we don't need to worry about? Well, when they can't even find out who did it or why, I have to raise an eyebrow. That's just me. So now let's move on to this right here. So this is the map of the power reactor sites across the United States. Now, I'm going to get into this chart here, and I'm going to start rattling off these states and cities to see if you guys that are listening, if anyone lives close to one of these. But in the meantime, you can just kind of look over here at this map while I do it. So first off, we have a bunch in Arkansas. Well, I guess only 2. So 2 in Arkansas, 6 miles west-northwest of Russellville, Arkansas. Beaver Valley, 17 miles west of McCandless. Braidwood, there's 2, 20 miles southwest of Joliet, Illinois. Browns Ferry, 32 miles west of Huntsville, Alabama. There's 3. Brunswick, 1 and 2, 30 miles south Wilmington, North Carolina. Byron, 1 and 2, 17 miles southwest of Rockford, Illinois. Callaway, 25 miles east-northeast of Jefferson City, Montana. Calvert Cliffs, 40 miles south of Annapolis, MD, Maryland. Let's see. Catawba, 1 and 2, 18 miles south of Charlotte, North Carolina. Clinton, 23 miles south-southeast of Bloomington, Illinois. So, guys, this list goes on and on and on. If you guys are interested in this list, it's at nrc.gov/reactors/operating/list power reactor units.html. I will probably go back and add this in the description because really no one came here to hear me to read off a big old list of stuff that maybe doesn't affect them. So moving on here, we have to figure out how we combat this type of stuff. And obviously, it's being on your P's and Q's. In the morning when you grab your EDC, you got your tourniquet, you got your strap on you, because anyone who gets run up gets done up. And you also have, hopefully, something more than just a tourniquet. Hopefully, you have some type of IFAC on you, as well as a get-home bag. Your EDC should also include some type of knife, some type of flashlight, as well as a multi-tool. That's what I carry. You can go ahead and see my EDC video, somewhere over on my page, somewhere. And if by chance any of this is of any value to you guys, go ahead and hit like on this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. It helps this message get out to people that might want to hear it. And if you're like me, you're probably glad that you're here tonight. So we're the same. You and me, we're probably the same type of guys. I'll keep moving on here. So let's move into situational awareness. So here's the 7 ways to practice situational awareness, just in case you didn't know. If you have that Candy Crush syndrome and you need to get your head out of your phone, here's the 7 ways to do it. Be mindful. Practice being in the moment. When you're cognizant of your surroundings, your senses are fully engaged. Identify exits. Watch people without staring. Notice nonverbal cues. Limit distractions and trust your gut feeling. Be strategic. So be thoughtful and mindful about what you're doing and how you're moving and where you place yourself in a room. These are all things that I think we're probably going to have to keep at the forefront of our minds, knowing that we have an increased terror threat, the likes we've never seen since September 11th. The war, as we know it, is moving here in this way. If things kick off abroad, and it seems like they're not de-escalating anytime soon, this is how we can see the war on our shores. Hopefully, that's all we see it as, and hopefully, we don't see it at all. But situational awareness can also be reiterated by the OODA loop. You guys know that. So here's the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act. So you got to figure out what's the problem. How do we want to change or deal with this problem? How do we solve it? Orient. How is your bank positioned for the solution? How is the competition positioned? Are you facing a team of 3 guys? 1 guy? Do you even know? Do you have the intel to be able to pull those risk assessments? And then you have to decide what to do. Now, one of the important parts of deciding is being able to predict the future. So based off your first 2 pieces of observe and orient, you're going to have to make an inference of what is the threat, who am I dealing with, and what is the most likely outcome of what they're trying to do here. And then you decide to act. So that's going to be left up to you, whatever you decide to do. But if you keep all your tools on you, you keep all your options open. And that's what I highly suggest we do right now. Amongst your EDC tools that you're keeping on you, you need to keep a get home bag in your car, because if these nuclear reactor, nuclear power sites get affected, it's going to cause chaos all over the roads, and you're probably not going to be able to drive home. So in my mind, it only makes sense. Keep a bag with some goodies in there. And I mean all types: ammo goodies, snack goodies, tons of water. Maybe you might have to spend the night somewhere. So think about that as well. I already talked about having an IFAC individual first aid kit that is, completely customized to your needs. And let's talk about shoes too. I work about 70 miles or so away from my house. So every day I'm just rearing and ready to go for something to go down. I keep 2 types of boots with me, and also sometimes even carry a pair of sneakers with me. So you want to be comfy while you're doing that apocalyptic ride home on feet. Now we're going to get into a little bit more boring stuff that you guys might not love, but it's a FEMA doc and an FBI bulletin. We'll get through them pretty quickly, and then we're going to shoot into the comments, and I'm going to drop in there and say hello to you guys. So here's the FEMA doc. All right. So this FEMA doc is talking about potential targets, which I thought would be beneficial for you guys. Let's see if I can actually find it here. Yep. So potential targets: in determining the risk areas with a jurisdiction and in multiple jurisdictions participating in an emergency response, the vulnerabilities of potential targets would be identified, and the targets themselves should be prepared to respond for a weapons of mass destruction incident. Now, the potential targets they're talking about here aren't just starting off on a 1 to 10. We're starting at 10, I guess, and moving our way back. So in-depth vulnerability assessments are needed for determining a response to such an incident. For examples of vulnerability areas to be considered, see tab F. In addition, reference risk assessment plans and emergency planning and Community Right to Know Act plans, which include potential target areas and information on industrial chemical facilities, can be obtained through the blah, blah, blah site listed here. So going down to the 3rd paragraph in this potential target document. In addition, the FBI has a standard vulnerability assessment paradigm that can be used for evaluating the vulnerabilities of potential targets. Planners should also be aware that once target lists and vulnerability information are developed, careful decisions must be made regarding security considerations for handling this information based upon applicable state and federal law. Yeah. Regarding blah, blah, blah. So let me come back here. So FEMA's already all over this, as we would expect. But still, I mean, as much as they're all over this, when these type of things happened, they still don't know who did it. They don't know why they did it. And it's like only a happy day if they catch them. This shooter in Maine ran around for a couple of days before they caught him. And you can go back and look at all the prior events of like these people escaping from jail. They searched for them for days, for days. Now, granted, those weren't terror attacks. Okay. But if these people are here and they know exactly what they're doing, and I'm going to tell you, after like looking up some terrorism, I guess anti-terrorism websites where there's these certain groups that they talk about, these units as they speak of, that are here in the United States. Guys, these aren't just dudes that hate us, that, have Bob and Joe who want to take us down. These guys are a complete full network that have upper administration, middlemen, and then your lower grunts. And they are working just as, I guess, strategic as any military group you would perceive would work. Everyone has a job, and they're actually running undercover right now. So that being said, keep your head on a swivel. Let's move on to this FBI bulletin. Okay, so here's the FBI bulletin. There's a couple things that I just wanted to shortly go over here. Resources to stay safe. So the number one thing it says is be prepared for emergency situations, and remain aware of circumstances. So it basically just said be a prepper and have situational awareness. Make note of your surroundings and the nearest security personnel. Keep yourself safe online and maintaining digital and media literacy to recognize and build resilience to false or misleading narratives. So I believe that's talking about like, basically not paying attention to anything the media is saying, although the media has done a really good job right now about getting everyone on board with our narrative, left and right. It's kind of amazing how we're all kind of on the same page all of a sudden. Review Department of Homeland Security, DHS resources for how to better protect businesses, houses of worship, and schools, and ensure the safety public gatherings. So it's reiterating itself a couple of times here. This bulletin I will list down below in the description after this live is over. I highly suggest you guys, take a look at it, brief over it. But if you're already here, more than likely, I'm thinking that you guys are probably already of this sheepdog mindset. You're not going to let something, well, let's just quote something for a second. All it takes for evil to persist or to prevail is for good men to stand by and idly do nothing. So right there's the dividing line of what guy you're going to be. I know exactly what guy I'm not going to be. There's been multiple times in my life where I've been that guy, and I regret it to this day. So now with this major threat being here, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be a victim, and I'm not going to stand idly by while evil is, taking down the country that I grew up in and love. That's just me. Anyways, we've reached the end of the articles that I brought to you tonight. Let's go ahead and drop into these comments over here. So Pilgrim dropped in just to say hello. Saw Pilgrim. What's up, my man? We got Papa's Farm in here too. Papa, nice to see you, bud. We got L. L, how are you doing tonight? Glad to see you here. And let's keep going. Oh, Silver Fox is back for another one. Don't go outside after 10 p.m. south of Cantrell and Little Rock. Well, good to know. That's some insider information straight from the guy that knows. He also says, land of the free, home of the Whopper. I love that. Oh, Pilgrim. You might be right. I mean, there's definitely some side of me that agrees with that sentiment, but then again, there's like this other side of me too that's like I can't accept that as being truth, right? Because if I do, then once I accept that as being true, then that means the fight's over. So the enemy definitely can't know that we think that. Let's keep moving on here. Pilgrim. I don't believe any of the main story. Probably feds. Yeah, I agree. Lots of weird things that went on with that. Anyone who has their left and right brain intact could probably see. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys stopping in here tonight. If you guys want to help me get this message out to other people as far as this list of cities that I think are going to be at a higher risk, there are already cities that have the highest crime rates in the United States. So those are the cities that if I was a terrorist coming through the southern border, if I want to do some damage in, I know the police force is already got their hands full there. So that's where I would go. Also, any of those cities that also have a nuclear reactor plant, yeah, primo target. I think largely we're probably going to see a lot of these terrorist attacks, in the upcoming 14 months that we've been told we're going to see them in. They're probably not going to be in rural areas, but I wouldn't write that off because they're going to attack where and when you least expect it. So every day you guys, grab your stuff, put it on. Today could be your day. And that's the mindset that I kind of wake up with every day. And it sucks because, this isn't necessarily like everything's going to be just fine type of broadcast to you tonight. I'm just trying to share out with you the potential risks. And if things do go down, then maybe you who are prepared are there for a reason. So, Pilgrim. Oh, Don, the rabbit hole with D just stopped in. Hey, Don. How you doing? Glad you stopped in tonight. Yeah, I hope all you guys are staying safe and prepared. I hope you guys all have a get home bag in your vehicle. Hope all you guys are, rolling strapped as well, as if that's legally how you're doing it within your state. I think we're going to end this one here tonight. So I thank you guys for stopping in. Be safe, stay prepped, keep your head on a swivel, and always be vigilant. We'll see you guys next time.